Alright, here we go. Algebra 1, Chapter 5 review. Boom. Inequalities. So, to solve this, we're going to get the variable by itself. So, circle the variable term, add 4 to each side, plus 4. Okay, that cancels this out. Negative 2k is greater than or equal to negative 2. We need to multiply or divide by negative 2. On each side, well, no, sorry, divide by negative 2 on each side. Remember to flip the sign, so k is a less than or equal to 1. To graph that, over here, we're going to have 1, and then 0 and 2. Our circle goes here. Since it is or equal to, it's filled in, and less than goes this way. Number 2, divide by negative 4. Flip that sign. Negative divided by negative becomes positive, is 3. Flip the sign the other way, and there we have D. Now I want to rewrite that variable on the left side. Flip that sign, 3, there we go. Graph it, 3 in the middle, 4 here, 2 there. And this is going to be a closed circle, less than. To get rid of a fraction, multiply by the denominator. Now, we can also get rid of that pesky negative by multiplying by negative 3 on each side. If we multiply by a negative, flip that sign this way. So that is negative 51. And then I'm going to rewrite that y. It's pointing away from the y. And then negative 51. So negative 51 in the middle. Negative 50. And negative 52. Make sure you know which direction the numbers on the negative side go. Open circle, and it is greater than negative 51, so arrow goes this way. Okay, here, I've seen a lot of you make this mistake. You cannot first multiply by 3. If you do, you have to multiply every term by 3. Otherwise, circle this variable term, add 2 to both sides first, okay? That cancels out. Now we have negative f over 3 is equal to negative 4 over 3 is not equal to, greater than negative 4. And then multiply by negative 3 because we want to get rid of the negative right here and the 3. So times negative 3, and that gives me 12. Multiplying by a negative, flip that sign. All right. So it gives me less than 12. Next, we have negative 2x. So we're going to add 5 to each side, plus 5 here, and then divide by negative 2. Remember to flip that sign. That gives us x is greater than 8. Okay, 6. I want to look at that one because some of you were having trouble with this. So I have 9. I have to do distributive property. Don't add this first. Saw a couple of you doing that. Distributive property first. 2 times 1 is 2. So that gives me 9 plus 2. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. K is less than or equal to 3 minus 8k. All right. So I'll take this expression here and combine like terms. 9 plus 2 is 11. Minus 8k is less than or equal to 3 minus 8k. Some of you can recognize this now, but we're going to solve this all the way. Add 8k to each side. Remember, if you have a variable term on each side, you need to eliminate one of them. Now it also eliminates this one. Now we get 11 is less than or equal to 3. Is that true? No, that is not true. So this is no solution. And then finally here, multiply by negative 2 on each side. Remember to flip that sign. M is greater than negative 36. There's your answers. All right. Solve or write your answer. Well, don't worry about interval notation. Okay, so to solve this, I need to solve both of these. Now, this is an OR statement. Important whether we recognize it's OR or AND. Okay, or, so here we have 3x, subtract 2 from each side. We get 3x is less than or equal to 9 divided by 3, and x is less than or equal to 3. Or, add 8 to each side, and we get 5x is greater than 30, divide by 5, and x is greater than 6. So that's our first answer. Next, number 9. In order to solve this one, we can solve this as a compound inequality. We could split it up and solve each side individually, or solve the whole thing. And we'll look at solving the whole thing. So, here's the problem. We want to solve for t, so add 6. Now, if you solve the whole thing in 1, you need to remember that we're adding 6 on both sides, on both ends, if we add it in the middle. All right, so that we get 2 is less than 2t, which is less than 14. Then divide by 2. Divide by 2 here, divide by 2 there, and we get 1 is less than t is less than 7. Remember, in your AND statements, smallest number first, variable in the middle, largest number last, and these have to be pointing to the left. If they're not pointing to the left, if they're not both pointing to the left, it's not an AND statement or there's no solution. Okay, number 10, add 3 to both sides here. You get 9 there, m is less than 9, and subtract 2. You get m is greater than 2. Okay, since this is an AND statement, we'll start with 2. Then we have m in the middle, and 9. Now I'm going to check, make sure my signs are correct. This sign is pointing at the 2, pointing at the 2. This sign is pointing at the m, so pointing at the m. Those are in the correct order, smallest to largest, and they are pointing to the left. All right, so I've done everything right here. Number 11. I went ahead and solved that for you off screen. Shouldn't be further difficult. Add 8 to each side, subtract 5 from each side, and you have 2 statements, and that's going to be your answer. All right, absolute value. Remember that you're going to have to solve 2 cases. So we drop the absolute value bars. We have 2c plus 3 is less than or equal to 11. And then the other case that we have to solve is 2c plus 3 is greater than or equal to 11. Notice I didn't change the sign inside the absolute value. Well, forgot. Greater than or equal to negative 11. So I didn't change the sign inside the absolute value, but the 11 became negative and the sign, the inequality sign, got flipped. So now subtract 3 from each side. Same thing here. This cancels out. 2c is less than or equal to 8. And over here we have 2c is greater than or equal to negative 14. Divide by 2, and we get c is less than or equal to 4. And over here, divide by 2, and we get c is greater than or equal to negative 7. Now remember, if the distance is less than something, then that's an AND statement, right? Because we have this kind of a graph. That means the distance from this point, this distance is less than this amount. So it's on the inside. So that means this is an AND statement. When it's less than, that is an AND statement. So how to write those AND statements? Start with the smallest number, negative 7. Put your variable in the middle, and then the larger number here. And this always has to be pointing to the left if it's an AND statement. Now notice here the sign is pointing at the 7, at the negative 7, pointing at the negative 7 here. So that's correct. Same thing on the other side. It's pointing away from the 4, pointing away from the 4. So there's your answer. All right, number 13. I've done a couple of the steps here. Remember, solve both sides. Drop the absolute value bars, and then flip the sign and negate for the second option. Add 1. Now we have to divide by 3. So D is greater than 3, or divide by 3 here. Notice 3 doesn't go into 7, but it does go into 7 2 times, and leaves a remainder of 1. So 2 1/3, or just -7/3. Either one is okay. And this is an OR statement, because it's greater than. So that's OR, so it's going to be this answer, or this answer right here. Alright, here's the work for number 14. Not going to go into great detail, but remember to get rid of a fraction. First multiply by the denominator, and then undo the rest of this. Finally, this is less than, so that's an AND statement. So we're going to take our smaller number, -8.5. Then we put x in the middle, and then 9.5 here. Remember, your arrows have to point to the left. Let's make sure this is pointing at the -8. This is pointing away from the 9. All right. All right, this one's not particularly difficult. Just after you've solved, notice the variable is negative, so remember the sign flippage when you multiply by -1. And this is an OR statement. All right. Graphing this, 4 is the y-intercept, so we go up 4. The slope is -3/1. Rise over run, down 3. 1, 2, 3, over 1. You can follow that slope a couple times to give you a better line. This is going to be a solid line. So there we go, solid line. And then we shade in. We can either enter a point, or we say it's greater than, so it's going to be above the line. Or I plug in 0, 0. 0 is greater than 4. That is incorrect, so the origin is not part of the solution. Over here, I want to solve that for y, so I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. That gives me -y is greater than -3x plus 4. And then multiply the entire thing by -1. And that changes all the signs and flips the inequality. Y is less than positive 3x minus 4. Now I can graph this. -4 is the y-intercept, down 4. And then the slope is positive 3, up 3/1. Up 3/1. There we go, 3/1. And then I'm going to graph this. Now this is a dotted line, because this is a less than. Dotted line. There we go. Make sure that goes through this point. Be precise when you are graphing. And this is less than, so it's going to be below the line. Again, we can plug in a point. We can pick the origin, put in 0 in here. Is less than 3 times 0 minus 4. Is 0 less than -4? No, 0 is not less than -4, so that is not part of the solution. All right, here's your answers for these. I'm not going to go over how to solve these. Remember how to add fractions. You have to make a common denominator. All right, so make this -4/8. And here we go. It is greater than -3 or greater than 1. Well, this one's the only one showing you greater than -3 and greater than -1. Okay, so both of these together, that's J. And here, solve this. And there you go, it's magically solved. Now you can solve it, see t is greater than or equal to -4. This one shows you greater than or equal to -4. It's the only one that shows you greater than. It's also the only one that shows you an AND statement. So there you go, A. Alright, here we go, quickly. This is obviously an OR statement, so it's not one of these two. And then they are filled in, which means they are or equal, so it's F. This here shows me the middle number is -1. Remember, our formula was minus the middle number, so minus -1 is +1, so it's not either one of these. So it's going to be between these two, and it is less than 2, so it's B. And here the y-intercept is 1, the slope is up 1 over 2, and it's less than y, so it is h.